We were never the first heroes of the galaxy. We were simply the ones who refused to run. Please like and subscribe, because this story begins long after humanity was forgotten, and long before anyone remembered why. When the Great Dimming began, the galaxy panicked. Stars, one by one, were dying, stripped of light by an ancient cosmic plague that devoured fusion itself. Worlds froze. Civilizations collapsed. The Galactic Concord, the oldest and wisest union of 1,000 races, ordered an evacuation of every living thing toward the safe core, a region of young stars still burning bright. Every world was to abandon its home. Every ship, every hand, every child, save what could be saved. And then came Earth. A backwater species, barely a century into interstellar travel, still arguing about borders and ideologies. The Concord's High Council expected them to flee first, but they didn't. When the evacuation fleets reached Sol, the humans did something the rest of the galaxy had not anticipated. They volunteered to stay behind. It wasn't a grand speech. No unified call from a single leader. Just a quiet resolve that rippled through humanity like a heartbeat. Someone had to hold the line. Someone had to keep the dying gateways open long enough for others to pass. Someone had to defend the last of the transport ships from the entities feeding on collapsing stars. And if not them, then who? The Concord protested. "You will die here!" the insectoid matriarch of Ver hissed through tears of plasma. "The dimming consumes all light." Captain Elias Rourke, commanding the human ship Vigilant Dawn, only smiled tiredly. "Then we'll burn until it does." In the end, they left a few volunteers, engineers, soldiers, medics, across fading worlds to manage the final evacuations. They stayed when the last gates closed, and then silence. For the next 1,000 years, humanity disappeared from all records. When the Concord finally stabilized the core worlds, they built new empires. The story of the humans faded into myth, the line keepers, the burnt, the last ones of Sol. But centuries later, when the dimming ended and the dark plague withdrew, expeditions returned to the outer rim to reclaim the old sectors. A scout ship, Tesserath, entered the Sol system first. They expected ruins, a dead star. They were not ready for what they found. Earth was alive. Not just alive, thriving. The oceans shimmered with bioluminescent blue. The continents glowed faintly beneath transparent domes of golden light. And orbiting the planet were hundreds of enormous rings, defensive halos built of unknown alloys, radiating controlled energy that defied every known law. The crew stared in silent awe. This is impossible," whispered Commander Keth, a crystalline being whose kind once taught humanity how to refine starlight. "This world should be dust." But the planet's beacon reached out first, a transmission in an ancient tongue. "You came back." The voice was human, calm, steady, and utterly changed. The Tesserath was escorted down by drones of light, each moving like thought given form. When the crew disembarked, they were greeted by a single figure, humanoid, tall, draped in silvery woven armor that shimmered like liquid moonlight. "I am Solara," she said, her voice carrying an echo that resonated inside their minds. "Descendant of those who stayed." Her eyes, though human, reflected galaxies. The crew bowed awkwardly, half from reverence, half from fear. Commander Keth spoke first. "We believed you. Gone. Consumed by the dark." Solara smiled faintly. "We were. Once. But the dark had much to teach." She led them through a city that floated over oceans of glowing kelp and luminous coral. Everything pulsed gently, like breathing light. "We learned to feed on the dark," Solara explained, "to turn its hunger back upon itself." She gestured toward the horizon where a vast ring shone in orbit. "We became the light that cannot be devoured. Keth studied her. You evolved. No, she said softly. We remembered. She touched the crystalline being's shoulder. You fled because you feared death. We stayed and found what waits beyond it. As the Tesseract explored further, the crew discovered the truth buried in the old archives of the human databanks. The dimming was not a natural event. It had been a weapon, a cascade engineered by something ancient, older than stars themselves, a cosmic parasite feeding on fear and entropy. When humanity realized it could not be destroyed, they did the unthinkable. They turned themselves into its opposite. Through genetic convergence and symbiotic nanotech, the last humans fused with light itself, using the dimming's hunger as fuel for creation. They became guardians of entropy, weaving balance between darkness and flame. It was not evolution. It was atonement. At sunset over the Pacific halo, Solara stood beside Commander Keith, watching 1,000 luminous drones rise like stars. Keth's crystalline eyes glittered. We owe you everything. The worlds that live now owe their lives to those who stayed. Solara turned to him, her expression unreadable. Then why did you not return sooner? He faltered. We thought you were gone. Gone? She repeated, her tone quiet, not angry, but heavy with the weight of centuries. You thought us gone because it was easier than remembering that you left. There was no accusation, only sorrow. And in that silence, Keth realized what haunted him most. The humans had not survived in spite of the dark. They had become its counterbalance. And now, the galaxy had to face what they'd become. That night, the Tesseract's sensors recorded something impossible. Every remaining dark sector across the galaxy began to flicker with golden light. Solar beacons, replicas of Earth's rings, were activating across long-dead systems. Their network, whispered Keth. It spans the entire rim. Solara nodded. They are our kin, those who remained on other worlds. Each became a star. The commander stared at her. You turned the fallen into suns. She smiled sadly. Light must come from somewhere. When the Tesseract's crew prepared to leave, Solara handed them a crystal sphere pulsing softly. Give this to your council, she said. Tell them the age of running is over. Tell them the dark has learned our names. Keth took it, but hesitated. And if the council wishes to ally with you? Solara's expression softened, though her eyes still burned with quiet power. Then let them come. Let them see what we became when no one came to save us. The Tesseract departed, its engines glowing faintly against the endless black. As the ship faded into the distance, Solara watched the horizon with unreadable emotion. Behind her, millions of humans, if they could still be called that, looked up as one toward the stars. Each bore the same flame in their gaze. Each carried the memory of those who stayed. And somewhere deep beneath the Earth's radiant crust, ancient words pulsed in the core of a machine older than memory itself. We did not die in darkness. We became its light. When the Tesseract returned to the core worlds, the crystal sphere was placed before the High Council. It unfolded like a flower, projecting a map of the galaxy, every dead world marked by a new star burning with golden fire. The humans had not only survived, they had rebuilt creation. The council sat in stunned silence, and for the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy felt hope. Hay called them the ones who stayed behind, not because they were left, but because they chose to be the light others ran from. If you felt this story, subscribe and tell us what you would have done. Would you have stayed behind?